Hello and welcome back. This is a later video on the marketing mix. For this one, we're going to be doing about the products. What we're doing from this context, we'll be talking about product development. What does it mean? The product development process. What's a unique selling point? We're going to talk about the Boston Matrix. What influences product development, the Boston Matrix sort of line, the product life cycle, and the extension strategies. So you can tell sort of a bit new with that last one. So the first thing we need to ask ourselves, sort of to get rid of this, that was just introducing you back to what we were talking about, the marketing mix, before in our previous video, which if you don't know what that was, you just go back to the first video that is labelled marketing mix, and you should be okay. Now the first one we're going to talk about today is the product development, as I mentioned, so I'll just put product top. So the product. Okay, so product development, so just changing pen, see if this works. That's okay. So product development is essentially improving the product to adapt to the consumer's needs more concisely. So basically you're asking yourself, when you're developing a product, what could be improved, how could we make this product more fitting to the consumer, looking for a proper word there, but you need to constantly update your product because it's never going to be in a market that stands forever, which we'll talk about in a minute. So just to sum up then, product development is, oh God, I thought this pen was going to work. Yes, this one does. Product development is essentially what we were saying before about is developing a product to meet consumers' needs. Consumers' needs. So basically we were saying then about product development is developing a product to meet consumers' needs, because of the market is constantly changing by competition, and obviously this would lead to the product development being needed. Okay, so we've done product development, that's gone there. So I'm not going to write this down because I need to leave a bit of space, but you can just note it down if you need to. How does product development occur? Well, if you think about it, product development, it's sort of like a variance analysis. You need to identify the problem, put stuff in place to solve it, and roll it out, sort of thing, plan it, so roll it out and watch it affect the market. Sort of similar to product development. So the first thing you need to do is you need to be able to think of the idea. So how could we improve the product to meet the consumers better? Define the concept, develop it, test it, and sell it to the public. So think of the idea, develop it, test it, and sell it out to the public. So that's why I didn't really write it down, because there's not much to say there. The unique selling point, so USP, I'll just put in brackets, unique selling point. So you have to say, well, what is a unique selling point? Well, it can be quite general. It can be just an improvement in quality. It's basically a way of moving apart from the competition. So a way of differentiating yourself from the competition. Now, obviously, an advantage of having a USP is you could attract more customers if you keep the price the same, or you could increase your total revenue. Well, the same thing, you'd either increase total revenue or increase number of sales to increase your total revenue. So you could increase price or increase your sales. If you increase your sales, you would have lower profit margins, but yeah, I'm just assuming the USP took some kind of costs which are constant to incur. So buying a new part of the product, for example. So a way of differentiating our firm's products from the competition. That's all it is. And obviously that could attract, I don't know, investment or whatever. Products in a given market. So obviously this could be anything from quality to a specific feature that your product has. Obviously that could lead to repeat customers and a greater recommendation. Now I'll let sort of a bit of space here, so I'm just going to cross this out. So you go, well, what leads to product development then? What factors affect it? Well, advances in technology, so technology affects it. You go, well, how could technology possibly affect this? Well, technology obviously depends on the business, what kind of resources it has at its disposal. Not a warhead, but you know, sorry if the computer's sending me a message there saying it's all corrupt and has to explode in 5 seconds, but hopefully you can get through this DVD before that. Technology, so when we talk about technology, we're talking about obviously advantages of online selling and stuff, and increases in research and development, but obviously the budgets, and obviously that would lead to lower costs. So basically technology is improving machinery and production, and obviously small businesses would obviously benefit less because they could afford a smaller amount or less improved technology than a big business could, which would have a greater amount of finance at its disposal. So the action, I think we talked about this. Yeah, so the actions of competitors, so pushing it out of the market. If we did. Oh, actually I'll leave that up. No, my question. Technology. Actions of competitors, so if your competitors update their product, you're going to have to update it to keep in line with the market. So technology, competitors, and entrepreneurial skills. So this doesn't work out real. Entrepreneurial skills. So we did look at this in Business 1. Well, shut the videos up. Entrepreneurial skills. So in Business 1 we talked about the entrepreneurial skills as determined and results orientated, and just general skills like that, and creative minded and stuff. So product development is technology, technology, competitors, and entrepreneurial stuff. So we talked about the technology being the increase in the production, the competitors being pushing out the market, trying to update their products, so you've got to update yours. The entrepreneurial skills is if they want to, why they want to set up this business, and that could lead to variations in the level of product development of similar businesses, for example. And just use similar because otherwise you could use market conditions as a factor for product development. Sorry, the voice is starting to go here. So now we come to the bare bones of what we're trying to get across today. It's something called the Boston Matrix. Now you may go, what is a Boston Matrix? Well, a Boston Matrix just shows each product, the position of it's in the market by the nature of the market share and the nature of the market, if the market's increasing in size or decreasing in size. Now what you have is we call something called the Boston Matrix. It's sort of a diagram of it. So what we start off is something called a problem child. Now this is not my brother, hopefully, problem child, even though you started to get annoying. Problem child goes to something called a rising star. Now this, again, it's not something you had at primary school. Doesn't look like the maths videos I do. It's rising star. and then that rising star leads to a cash cow. A couple of my friends are that. Not the cash bit, you know, just the cow bit. So cash cow, and then that leads to a dog, which is not a good thing. I don't mean to upset any dog owners. I love dogs, but the business people obviously don't, because they're idiots. That's my opinion. So we've got the problem child, the rising star, the cash cow, and then the dog. I'll just move out of the way so you can copy that down if you're not in my class and you don't have the notes. So you're going to ask me, well, what is, first of all, what is a problem child? A problem child is a product which is of low market share, but the market is growing. So you could say for a problem child, it's probably going to be a new product. So these rising star, cash cow, dogs are all product stages of the development. So you could say the product life cycle sort of, which we'll go into more in a minute. So you've got the problem child, which is a new product, so it's got low market share, and the market's growing. Market's growing, and then you've got the rising star, which the product started to pick up in market size, market share. So the market share is increasing, and we assume the rising star stage, the actual growth of the market is starting to increase still. However, the cash cow, when we get to that, the market really can't grow anymore. There's a few more customers, but in relative size to the increase in market share between these two, market growth between these two, the cash cow increase in market share is not going to be that great. And then we go on to the dog. Now the dog is the total opposite of the cash cow. So for the dog, what we've got is we've got low market share, and the market share is decreasing, and the growth in the market decreasing, so that is where you don't want to be. Now, just before I go into explain a bit more, the problem child is not necessarily going to go to a rising star. It could stay as a problem child and go straight to the dog, and obviously that would be bad. Now, another thing, you want what you want. You don't. Everyone. Well, I assume you're thinking, well, obviously, the best place to be would be at the cash cow or the rising star. The other two don't seem to be that sort of important, really. I mean, they've got problems. And first of all, the problem child is a problem because obviously it's got low market share, so it's not going to bring in that much return. And the rising star, I should mention this, obviously requires great investment because there's going to be high competition at that point. And the dog is obviously bad in both ways because you've got the problem of low market share and declining growth, which could lead to the product being completely axed or just producing it for product's sake. Now, there's not more there is to say on that. The cash cow doesn't involve too much investment because you could have a product. Oh yeah, that was the thing I was going to mention. So a cash cow could actually be really beneficial to a business in the context that you might have a product which stays as a cash cow for a long period of time. This could happen if your product is patented and it's completely different from the competition, and assuming it stays in demand for a vast and great period of time. So that's a bonus. I'm just going to rub all this off. I'll hopefully give you enough time to copy it down. So if you need to go back to it, you can do. I think the only thing you might struggle on, well I do, was the had to refer to the book, is about the product development. So, we've done about Boston Matrix. All we are doing now is sort of finishing off. Now we sort of highlighted this. I'm going to draw it quite big, so I can sort of annotate it at the side. And we sort of mentioned this at the beginning. I just want to get it to go perfectly. Oh no, that's not going perfect. I'm looking at the book too much. So this is what we call the product life cycle. Now what that looks like is a bit of a maths sort of sine curve or cosine curve, or whatever you want to call it. Depending on what sort of degrees you imagine this has been. So what we've got here is between this point before it starts going up over the graph, what we've got is a product being development. So yeah, I should label this as profit. and obviously that corresponds with the price. And then on the x-axis, this is time, or lifetime. So at this point, during the first little bit of the thing, you're still developing the product. So when you're developing the product, so in this development section here, I can't read that very well. What the reason why it's in the negative parts, this sort of zero profit. And the reason it's negative profit is obviously because you're spending money developing the product and no one's going to buy it until it's developed, unless you want to sell and ruin the reputation of your company. So after this bit here, when it starts to, oh wait, no, sorry, this development actually starts before it starts curving up. I didn't draw that quite right. So when it starts curving up until about halfway up the curve, and what we've got is the introduction. So obviously immediately when you put it out there, it's been developed, it's going to start bringing profit. So you're going to start getting the meat bit of the profit. You've got the growth here, which is sort of an extension of the introduction. So after a while, after it's been introduced, the product starts to pick up. And then at this point here, the sort of maximum curve, what you've got is the peak and the maturity, what's specified in there. I just put it as a peak. So the maturity of this, so basically it's not like an adult sort of thing. It's a product that's fully out there, it's not going to get any better. And obviously after this maturity bit where it starts to decrease gradient, obviously decreasing profit, what we see is a decline of the product. So you could relate this to the what we saw about Boston Matrix. So the development, what it is the first, which is the problem child, trying to think of what it was called, and then you start getting to possibly the rising star, and then at the maturity level, you can have the cash cow where it's bringing loads of profit, maximum profit, and you don't really have to invest in it. And then the decline is obviously the dog, and you can sort of relate that to that. Yeah, so why is the product life cycle significant? Just reading off the sheet here really. So the development stage, the product has been researched and prepared, so you can see why it's negative, sort of mentioned that. Yeah, sort of mentioned all these extension strategies. So basically when it starts to decline, so reading out what it says, you could sort of, I just got this line here, you could sort of have it going a bit higher. So introduce a update your product, you modify your product and it would extend its life. So just like Boston Matrix, you should treat it with caution, and it is an estimate sort of thing. And it's hard to anticipate exactly where it is on the product, because you could actually be here, you could expect it to be up here, so you'd have a longer life cycle than you would expect. There's no specific thing for this, and that's really the main part. Now just a few things I missed out, just mention them now. An advantage of the Boston Matrix is it allows you to get balance between the products, so you can have enough dogs as you have cash cows, and you can have enough cash cows as you have problem childs or question marks. However, obviously it's the more growth, it's hard to, more market growth is not exactly a constant an attractive quality. It could mean numerous things, and obviously market share, you can have a large market share but it could be a small market, so you'd have a small amount of sales, but you'd have a small section in a large market, you could have more sales, if you think about it logically like that. Obviously if you've got a mass market, it's going to be more effective to have a large market share than in a niche market, which is smaller by comparison. So that is essentially it. I'm going to go for burn into flames. So hopefully that's sort of taught you a few things you need to know, and we'll see you in the next video.